Welcome, my name is Diane Frenzel and this is Barbara Johnson and we are with the Delaware Readiness Teams. Today we're going to be discussing math and how numbers can be fun. The purpose of the Academy is to inform you, the parents and caregivers, about expectations for your child who will be entering kindergarten in the upcoming school year. These presentations are based on domains listed on the Delaware Early Learning Survey, which is used as an observational tool for all Delaware children entering into kindergarten within their first 30 days. It is taken directly from Teaching Strategies Goals, Objectives for Developmental and Learning, and we're going to talk about expectations for readiness in math, and we'll suggest some activities that you can do at home and make it fun. As a reminder, the Kindergarten Academy series that's geared towards children will be held the second Tuesday of every month from November to April from 6 to 6:30. So what is math? Math is more than just numbers. It involves number sense, geometry, measurement, spatial relationships, patterning, and special vocabulary. Much research has been focused on early math learning. It has been found that children are very curious about math and that it becomes real to them as they use it by talking, reasoning, playing, and doing. Surprisingly, children do not tend to learn math concepts and operations in a predictable sequence like they do in learning reading. But even though they may not use a set sequence, they still manage to put it all together. These early understandings provide an essential foundation on which later skills and concepts build. Math is too often seen as a separate subject. It should be viewed as part of our daily lives and blended with other types of instruction such as reading, a story that involves counting. Math is something to be explored at home as well as at school. Parents don't have to be math experts to help their children, especially in the early years. Building on your children's interest, math is the key to success. So why is math important? Math is important because it provides vital life skills. Think about all the ways we use math in our daily lives, from measuring time, distances, and quantities, to computing and data analysis. Early math skills are used by children throughout their daily experiences and activities and routines. Math plays a major role in a child's development and helps children make sense of the world around them. The knowledge children acquire informally provides the foundation for the concepts and skills that they later learn formally in school. Children learn mathematic context through essential process skills of problem solving, reasoning, communicating, and making connections and representing. So what are the expectations of math? This is a list of the objectives for the development and learning in mathematics. They involve number concepts, operation, spatial relationships, shapes, comparing, measuring, and patterning. Activities used with children should always build on a child's existing knowledge and strengths. Activities should involve concrete and manipulative exploration of concepts.
Uses numbers and concepts and operations. Counting is more than just saying the numbers in order. It involves one-to-one correspondence, which is the understanding that one number matches to a single object in a set being counted, and cardinality, which means that the last number named when counting objects tells how many. Children can look at a small group of objects and identify the quantity without counting it. This is called subitizing. Think about how we know the numbers on a dice or a playing card without counting the symbols because we are familiar with the patterns. From here, children explore concepts of more or less, how many, parts and wholes. Children may also recognize numerals and be able to match numerals and sets. As they become more familiar with mathematical ideas, they learn ordinal counting, which is first, second, third, etc., and counting on, where you start with one number and then count, like 5, 6, 7, 8, or counting back, which is counting in a decreasing order, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, or counting by groups, like counting by 2s or 5s. This is a number line. Number lines are a common tool for teaching math concepts in schools. Let's try some activities you can do with a number line. Find the number 4. Now, find the number 8. If I start at 4, how many lines do I count to get to 8? Right, 4. Find number 10. Now, how many lines do I count to get back to number 5? That's right, 5. By providing the child with some small counting items, have them illustrate the numbers on the line so they can visualize how the numbers increase as you move to the right and decrease as you move to the left. Also, do you see how the numbers are used to illustrate the skip counting? Now this is a 100s chart. Sorry. Is often used in schools to discuss numbers and number patterns. What are some of the things that you notice about the numbers chart? What patterns do you see? How does the use of color help to illustrate these certain patterns? A hundreds chart can be used to do the same activities as a number line, such as identifying numerals, counting up and counting back, but it is easier to visualize a larger progression of numbers. Preschool children are not expected to have skills that are taught in kindergarten, but parents can incorporate math fundamentals by using the chart and number lines. It is helpful to be aware of these tools since you may be asked to help your child use them in homework activities. Operations. Operations involve addition and subtraction, multiplication, and division. It is easy to find ways to add meaningful math experiences to activities that you do every day. Taking away is a common separating operation that makes the collection smaller and answers the question, how many are left? Addition problems involve combining sets of objects to find out how many in all. It is typical for children to use their fingers or small objects to solve problems involving separating and combining. At home, try using objects to make up story problems involving addition and subtraction. Help your child use the objects to make a physical representation of the problem, and allow them to make up the stories and problems for you to produce as well. This give and take builds on comprehension skills. So let's look at an example. This is an example of how you can take some pictures that you clip and make up a story problem with them. You can create a collection of pictures or items and create or have your child create an addition or subtraction story around them. Always include the numerical equation to connect the story and the math concept. So in our picture, Lucky and Chance are having a birthday party. We have the 2 dogs. They invite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their best friends. So how many dogs are at the party? We have 2. We invite 5 more. We have 7 as a total. Now, this is a 10 frame. It's another way to illustrate numbers and equations. A 10 frame helps children develop number sense, which is having a good intuition about numbers and their relationships. It teaches them to subitize. It provides children with a visual representation of numbers and gives them experiences working with numbers. Children aren't simply memorizing numbers or counting without meaning. A 10 frame shows children the value of numbers, and it can be used for composing and decomposing numbers in relation to 5 and 10, which leads to addition and subtraction. It helps form the basis for understanding place value in the future. Using this 10 frame, you can see that there are 6 counters, which is 5 plus 1 or 1 plus 5. And you can also see that there are 4 empty spaces needed to make a 10. So then we would know that 6 plus 4 is 10, or 10 take away 4 is 6, 10 take away 6 is 4. So what does using number concepts look like? Counting can be a fun activity for children, especially when a variety of materials are used. Consider using things like buttons, pennies, bottle tops. beans, cubes, pasta, pictures cut from magazines. Counting is also easy to include in your everyday activities. Count the number of napkins to put on the table, or the number of steps to the garage. The opportunities are endless. It's also fun to guess how many items are in something. Guess and then count how many pieces are in an individual bag, for example. Or for larger numbers, guess how many are in a larger bag of candy. Or how many have been placed in a small jar by grouping them in 5s or 10s and then counting to get to the total. It may be helpful to model counting strategies like touching or moving an object as it is counted. Physically separating objects as they are counted helps to define the set and improves accuracy. Number lines also offer many opportunities to discuss number order, counting forwards and backwards, and visualizing number order relationships. Counting movements is also fun. Jumping 5 times, taking 6 skips, and counting how long your child can stand on one foot are fun exercises that involve math, movement, and balance. Quantifying can be an abstract idea for a young child. Terms like more, less, many, and few should be used often in relation to many different circumstances where an exact number is not necessary. For instance, I have many pasta shells to add to the soup, or here are a few pretzels for your snack. Matching sets means counting specifically to find an exact number. I need 5 plates, 5 forks, 5 spoons, 5 napkins, and 5 cups for dinner. Please count them for me so everybody has one of each. Estimating involves making a reasonable guess. It does not need to be exact, but should be close enough to be used with confidence. About how many pretzels do you think are in your bowl? Counting and matching sets, comparing sets, and comparing how some numbers are closer to other numbers often leads to better estimation. Numbers are all around us. Have a scavenger hunt for a particular number as you drive or go for a walk. You can make a tally as the number is found or transfer a penny from one pocket to another to keep track of the number of times your target number was found. Estimate the number before you leave, and then again when looking at the collection of pennies or tallies. Count the tallies or pennies and record the amount. You can look for a different target number each day for a week and then make a picture graph of the numbers to compare the data. Let's look at a picture graph. After 5 days, your bar graph might look something like this. Record the day of the week and, you record the day of the week at the bottom and the number of pennies that you found each day by putting pennies in the slots. You can then discuss the number relationships, such as which number did you see the most, which number did we see the least, how many more 3s did we see than 5s, how many fewer 2s did we see than 1s. And you can discuss the graph itself, which column is the tallest, which column is the shortest, which is shorter, Wednesday's 4 column or Friday's 5 column. And if you do this again next week, which number do you think you'll find the most of and why? Once your child recognizes numbers, begin matching sets. It is easy to discuss quantities and sizes while reading stories and playing with blocks and figures. There are many natural opportunities to bring math concepts into daily conversations by asking additional questions like, how many are there? Which is the biggest? Or how can I make these block towers the same size? Snack times and meal times are a natural opportunity to discuss quantities, addition, and subtraction. Using number cards, dice, Uno cards, playing cards, written, plastic, or wooden numerals are all great ways to reinforce recognizing and reading numerals and connecting the numerals to counted objects. Other things parents can do are provide a number of materials to help your child develop an understanding of quantity, model comparison vocabulary, recite finger plays or rhymes, use everyday activities as an opportunity to count, and model and discuss number combinations and separations. Now let's look at the second objective, which is explores and describes spatial relationships and shapes. Spatial awareness is how objects are oriented in relation to one another. This develops as children begin to explore the relationship between their bodies and things around them. As children explore their environment, they learn about direction, perspective, distance, symbolization, and location. This leads to an understanding of math-related vocabulary. Positional words describe spatial relationships and help children deepen their understanding of those relationships. Directional words describe which way, and distance words tell how far. Location words specify where. Children explore 2- and 3-dimensional shapes long before they can name and describe them. It is important to provide a wide variety of models of each shape so that children do not perceive that a particular shape looks only one way. This can be accomplished by rotating shapes into different positions and providing different examples for comparisons. So this is an example of an interactive activity you could do at home. It's found at funlearningforkids.com. The child is to match the geometric shape with the shape of an object by dragging a clip of their choice to the matching shape. Notice that the correct answer is given and that the triangle is pointing in a different direction. So what does exploring and describing spatial relationships and shapes look like? Your child should respond correctly to your directions, such as put the cup next to the plate or sit between Diane and me, to demonstrate an understanding of spatial relationships. They should also be able to use positional words to describe locations, directions, and distance. My bike is beside the car, or it's a long way to that stop sign. When given a block model, your child should be able to build a matching model. Or when given a set of shape pieces, cover a design where the lines of the shapes are included. So this is a Tangram puzzle where the lines for the pieces are shown. So your child would match the pieces by laying the corresponding piece on top of the illustration. If you wanted to make it more difficult, you can have your child recreate the design beside the illustration. Completing puzzles helps your child describe the concept. Completing puzzles helps your child understand the concept of how to flip, slide, and turn pieces to make them fit. Be sure to use those terms when helping your child with a puzzle. Children enjoy doing jigsaw puzzles, simple tangrams, and designs with pattern blocks. Symmetry. Symmetry is another spatial relationship. Symmetrical designs can be made by folding paper and cutting a design. The fold is the line of symmetry. Think about cutting out a heart or a snowflake. The paper is first folded, cut, and finally opened to reveal the shape. The fold line is that line of symmetry. These are examples of designs where the lines of symmetry are illustrated. The designs are not a duplicate. They form a mirror image. If the design cannot be folded exactly like the one at the bottom, then there is no line of symmetry. Adding a shape to either side of the line of symmetry is a fun extension activity. Using pattern blocks is a fun way to learn about symmetry and shapes. Children learn about the shapes when they manipulate them and make patterns and designs with them. Supporting your child with exploring and describing spatial relationships and shapes can be fun and challenging. By allowing your child to see you try different combinations, you model the ideas that sometimes there's more than one way to solve a problem, and trial and error is okay. Some other things parents can do to support this: so label shapes by name as children use them. Say, yes, that round one is a sphere. or that one with 3 sides is a triangle. Describe the features of the shapes as they are used, saying what they are and what they are not, such as, this is not a circle because it does not have curved sides. Present shapes of different sizes and orientation. Encourage children to create new shapes from an old one, like folding a square napkin to make a triangle. Model and encourage the use of positional words. Create simple maps and easily found landmarks and specific clues about the location of hidden objects. And represent shapes in different ways, through tangrams, craft sticks and Play-Doh, or drawing, or using a geoboard.
So that brings us to our next objective, which is compares and measures. So remember the story, The Three Little Bears? Well, by reading this story, children learn about different sized beds, chairs, and bowls. They might line up objects according to size and sort objects into groups of large and small. No standard measuring tools are things like paper clips, connecting cubes, pasta pieces, etc. Experimenting with measuring the same thing with one standard tool and getting different measurements leads us to the understanding of the importance of measuring with the standard tools, such as rulers or measuring tape. We'll see an example of this on the next slide. Large numbers and quantities are difficult for young children to understand. It's helpful for them to see visual representations, such as a pile of 100 pennies or a line that is 30 feet long. So let's look at an example of non-standard measurement. This is an interactive resource that can be downloaded from funlearningforkids.com. This one of the several slides presented in this activity, where the child is to take the cubes and drag them to fit between the 2 lines to get an approximate measure of the illustration. This tomato is about 5 cubes long. The child drags the number 5 over to answer the question. So what does comparing and measuring look like? There are many ways to provide children with an opportunity to measure and compare. Children may use objects they are playing with to compare things, like laying 2 small blocks on a large block, and to see if it's the same length, or comparing the weights of a wet sponge and a dry sponge. Playing with different size cups in the bathtub or different size containers in a sandbox provide practical experiences with measuring. Play-Doh creations can be ordered from smallest to largest or longest to shortest. And keeping a calendar available in your house is an easy way to practice math skills, such as counting and patterning, as well as learning the days of the week and the months of the year. Place the calendar with an easily seen place in your child's room. If you have time, mark weekends and special activities with a quick drawn symbol, such as a home for the weekend or a pool for swimming lessons. A quick discussion of what day it is can be added to the nighttime routine. Use 2 different stickers to create simple pattern for each month, and have your child predict with a sticker what will be next. After a quick discussion, mark the day off before your child goes to bed. So children measure many things, like how long tables are, shoes are, etc., by linking up smaller objects and counting them. They may build towers and count the blocks as they go to measure its height, or count how many steps it takes to get from their room to the kitchen. Cooking together is always a fun way to practice measuring in a meaningful context. They may line up their toys and describe the ordinal positions based upon their attributes, or they may describe the order of their daily schedule or the steps to a recipe. Making graphs is another fun way to practice math skills with children. Graphs can be made to represent many different situations. Once a graph is made, it's the perfect way to illustrate comparisons, equalities, and inequalities, as we saw on the penny graph of the numerals found on the scavenger hunt. So things that parents can do for this objective is use daily opportunities to talk about comparing and measuring. Provide opportunities for measuring using non-standard and standard tools. Use estimation vocabulary such as about, approximately, nearly, almost, close to, in context to real-life situations. And use recipes and measuring tools throughout your daily life. The next and final objective in our math area is demonstrates knowledge of patterns. So demonstrating knowledge of patterns are arrangements made from numbers, objects, shapes, colors, sounds, and movements. Patterns can range from stripes on a shirt to a repeated group of words in a favorite story, to a series repeated of movements and different exercise in a dance routine. The core pattern repeats 5 times, such as red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. Growing patterns show an increase like staircase. Children enjoy copying and creating patterns with small blocks. So what's demonstrating the knowledge of patterns? What does this look like? Sequencing events is putting events in order. When reading a familiar story, ask what happened next, or mix up the sequence and let your child correct you. Natural cycles are also another great way to point out patterns. Life cycles of animals and seasons are interesting for children who are curious about the world around them. Make a visual agenda of a routine, such as getting ready in the morning or getting ready for bed, and let your child design a how-to drawing of something that requires steps. Identifying patterns, challenging your child to copy patterns that you create. Patterns can be made with lots of household supplies. And children enjoy repeating physical and rhythmic patterns. So remember the Simon game where players would repeat patterns of colors and sounds. Grouping like items. Household tasks often involve sorting and are the perfect way for your child to help and practice their math reasoning skills. Look through magazines and cut out pictures of numbers and shapes and different colored objects and animals. You can have your child sort them into different categories, shapes, numbers, and you can post them to create a reference poster. Using deductive reasoning. Children enjoy playing with the Who's Missing game. This can be done with objects by erasing something from a clipboard or a whiteboard, and then you try to place small groups of objects on the tray and tell your child to study them. And while your child closes their eyes, remove one of those objects. Challenge your child to identify which object is missing, and then repeat it. Write numbers 1 to 5 in random positions and erase the numbers. Challenge your child to identify which numbers are missing. Increase the numbers a few at a time for increased difficulty. So let's try this together. So take a look at the screen. I'll give you a minute to look at that, a couple seconds. All right. Now, next one. Okay, which animal's missing? What's different this time? Which one did I take away? The squirrel. To support patterns at home, parents can identify patterns in daily routines, call attention to patterns in the environment, such as stripes on a shirt, support children as they copy and extend patterns, and describe similar patterns. My shirt has red and white stripes, but your shirt has blue and white stripes. And that is the end of our math presentation. You can visit our website at www.delawarereadiness.teams.com for additional information. And just a reminder that we will have our live children's presentation the second Tuesday of each month. Again, you can see our website for registration information. And we thank you for viewing our presentation, and we hope that you found it beneficial.